Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to this session of Inspiring Conversation. And let me remind you a little bit of where you can find, just before we get started. You can find hands-on coaching, Inspiring Conversations on YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, Facebook. Just use Dr. Google and hopefully you will find us. And I can see now that my beautiful cold sore is showing. So, however do I become this sexy? But welcome to the stream and welcome live from Kópavogur, Iceland. Let's remind ourselves why Inspiring Conversation is about. It's all about creating conversations that really matter. We're diving into ways to connect deeply, break down barriers, and build moments that inspire trust and growth. Whether it's with your team, at work, or in your everyday chats, we'll bring more positivity, realness, and impact into every conversation. And as I said, I am in Kópavogur, Iceland, and I live here close to the sea. So that's not a bad thing to do. And this church is a monument, like a place to go if you come. But my guest today, he is a marvelous guy. And he does not call everything his granny, because he has fallen, risen, and like adversary, he could probably have that in his middle name. We will talk about it. But he has written a book, and it's called The Strength Within You. It's always too soon to quit. And he says underneath the title, outside forces may bend you, like the tree, but inner strength is what will pull you through. So, Mr. Jay Setchell.
Oh yeah. Good morning.
So I have named you again. Like how is it too much? Maybe like you don't want to take.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So yeah, how are you? Like it's early morning in the U.S.
I'm doing fine. I just my normal everyday good morning and pain and hurting and sitting in my power wheelchair and doing my thing, and it's good. Life is good. I'm still here. I'm still alive, and I'm still cranking and grumpy and laughing, and I mean it's I just tell it the way it is. So but
Yeah.
sounds good.
So I gather that if you will not feel the pain, you are either dead or heavy medicated.
I don't medicate at all.
Yeah. Well, okay. So when you don't feel pain, then you will be a goner.
Yeah. Oh no. I say that if I ever get out of bed in the morning with my legs and move my legs over, paralyzed legs and all this other, if I'm not, grabbing my bar to get out of bed and I'm not hurting and the tears almost running and saying, oh my God, help me, help me, help me. If I'm not doing that, then I probably am dead because
Yeah.
I won't feel any pain because it's like,
maybe it's horrible to say this.
well,
I
it's
don't know
it's
why
kind of like
I don't know why I'm laughing.
well, it's like my alarm clock, and I can't shut it off. That's the thing, I mean, once you start hurting, it just hurts all the time. So,
Yeah. But
but that's okay. That's okay.
do you have a significant other who can who says, "Oh, shut up, I will help you."
No, she moved out into another room. She got tired of hearing me.
Oh. So it's not only the snoring, it's also the
No, it's
moaning.
her snoring.
Oh, where
Her,
is your wife? We need to talk to her as well.
uh, no,
No. Yeah. Well, welcome, Jay. I have been looking forward to this, and believe it or not, David Pushkin, a good friend from the UK, he says, "Hi from London, UK, and stay encouraged from your Chief Encouragement Officer. Looking forward to conversation. Now, can you dig that?" Okay, I think he's a rapper or something. Like he is in the mood of
hey,
good.
that's all right.
Can you
You
dig
know,
that?
hey, I'm my father's side. I'm from the UK too, so but I'm like eighth or ninth generation, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, okay. Well, it still goes, isn't it?
Yeah, I came from a little. He came from the relatives. I mean, they were there before that, and they're still there. There's still
Yeah.
Setchells in England, but it came from a little town called Worsboys in Huntingdonshire, England, which has now gotten into a bigger area. In other words, they kind of took this little town and put it into this town and that, and I don't know, whatever it's happened over the decades or
Yeah, yeah.
centuries. But
Well,
you know,
maybe we can send David Pushkin on a mission. Go and find his family and talk to them.
hey, there we go. Hey, no,
But
but no, it's okay. I'm happy here in
of
Texas.
course. So the reason we met through Podmatch, or like where I think you contacted me when after I talked to Rand Timmerman, who was a
Yes.
veteran and he walked the Appalachia Trail and stuff. So you found that interesting, and you have a you have another story. Like you are also a veteran, and you are in wheelchair and like whatnot. But you have, and as we decided to call the topic for our chat, like redefining success when rule change. Success is easy to describe when life follows a familiar script. Mobility, momentum, milestones. Then the rules change. And I gather that you have had some obstacles in life, but you have chosen to look at them in a positive, like life goes on. It's just life goes on.
100%. I don't. I, a lot of it I take back to the way I was raised, and I just it's kind of like saying grow a pair and just get over it and move forward. It's like,
Yeah.
I think I've said to you, and if I didn't say it in our podcast, was, there's an old saying, sweat dries, blood clots, and broken bones heal. Suck it
Yeah.
up. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want to live to see tomorrow, just get through it, go through it. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it's everything is temporary. As much as I've been dead, as much as I've been in pain, as much as I am in pain, it's still temporary because we are on this earth temporarily.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We're not here forever, and we're really here for less than a blink of an eye, if
Yeah.
in everything considered. Because if and it's like sometimes we look back even to years gone by, and it doesn't seem like, God dang, I just got out of high school like recently, but it's been 60 years,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and where did time go? And it's
Yeah.
like pretty, I'd like to be, I'm 76. I'd like to be 95, maybe 100, just so I can sit around and piss people off. I don't know. Just, I mean, I don't, it's like there was a joke here recently. They asked, the guy said, the lady at the church asked the gentleman when he was leaving, you seem to be in a pretty good mood. And how, you don't have any enemies at all? And he said, oh no. He said, I don't have anybody that even dislikes me. And she said, at 92, you don't have anybody? And he says, no, I outlived all of them.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
They're all gone.
I don't care.
But
And so,
if you have kids, do they agree with you that, like, are they in agreement with you that you should become 95 or 100? Like, aren't they just like, oh, dad, shut up?
oh no, they're already a problem. I don't, and they've been a problem. I've got a son that's 56 that I adopted when he was 4,
Uh-huh.
and in a natural son that I had when he was 50. I've got several kids that my youngest one is 38, and he's another Marine, and he's been out and been married and grandkids and all that stuff. So life goes on, but once in a while we talk. Sometimes we argue, sometimes we don't argue. Sometimes I send him something inspiring, and he says, "Why did you send that to me? I don't need that." I go, "Yeah, you do." So
Yeah.
you
But
got to.
how? But we have to go to the background. Like, what? Who are you, and what did you do? And like, because I know you have mentioned that you have died several times,
Yes,
and
yes.
always come back. And I want, because that would be interesting story if I could talk to your wife. Like, were you happy when you came back the fifth
Well, what
time?
what my wife I wasn't with through any of my deaths. It
Oh,
was I didn't meet her until uh, 13 or 14 years after I died my third time. Now, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I had COVID Delta. She had it. They took ivermectin, got over it. She was over it like in 5 days. Then she had some pneumonia issues. But a couple of weeks later, a week and a half later, she took me in just to get tested. And the guy says, he's bad. He's bad. Take him right to emergency. And we got there, and when they put me in, they told her to basically, it was on a Monday, and they told her basically go home and make, prepare funeral arrangements because he's not going to make it till Thursday or Friday, Saturday at the most. Because I was 71, my lungs had been punctured, I'd already drowned. So my lungs were, even though I breathed okay, now I had COVID, and now my right lung is torn real bad from COVID, and I was paralyzed. But I wasn't obese, I wasn't overweight, I didn't have what do you call it, diabetes, because a lot of people that were diabetic
yeah,
died from
yeah.
it. But I didn't die, and the doctor is kind of funny because the doctor would told me later on, he said, you would mouth to me like, "Am I gonna make it?" And I'm in all this apparatus and stuff, and they hadn't had anybody make it. That was They had one younger person, and that was it. And they weren't that bad. I was 20 points below a major heart attack when I went in, and but he said, you swore all the time about, I'm going to beat this effing, I'm going to effing kick his effing ass. And they asked my wife, they said, why does he swear so much? He said, he was a Marine, like he swears all the time. So, but
Well,
a lot of
so
it, when he let me out, he said it was my attitude. He
yeah,
said, I believe your attitude brought you through it because when you said it, when you said I'm going to beat it, you didn't say it with a smile. You were pissed off.
you were
You
just
were angry.
terminated. Like you were
Oh, he
going to
said
do
you
it.
you
Yeah.
were stubborn. You can call it whatever you want. Perseverant, determined, resilient, but he said you were just like pissed off. You are not going to let it beat you. You've been through worse, and you're not going to let this do it.
Uh,
So
but okay, let's go back then. So when you died three times, were you in the
mhm.
Marines or in the Navy?
First time I was in the Marine Corps, I was 19 years old, and I should
And
have
what
died.
happened?
Well, I should have really died a couple of years before that. When I was 17, I was walking on a feeding auger, and I had to come down a silo and then walk a little ways on a feeding auger, and it was about 5 days after I turned 17 years old. It was January 4th or 5th or 6th of 1967, and it was like 10 below zero, and the snow was 4 or 5 feet deep out, a snowdrift. But my grandfather turned the feeding auger on and then turned it off, and it turned just a little bit, and I was already getting ready to jump off of it, but it broke my right ankle and cut my boot open and cut my leg open and stuff. And I was able to launch off into the snowdrift, and I landed, the blood was coming out and all that, but I was okay. It's not a big deal. It wasn't really a problem. But if that auger would have stayed on for 3 or 4 seconds, it would have ground me up just like hamburger. That they would have never seen me. I would have just gone right through with the silage, the corn silage, and the cows just would have eaten me except for the bones, and I'd have just been laying in a feed trough. But when I was
Yeah.
19, I was taking another Marine back to base that had been injured very badly. And it's a long story. I don't want to get into a lot of that, but uh, there was a semi crossing a road that came out of an orange packing plant in California, heavily loaded. It was dark out. He had, I didn't know it, but he had only one headlight working and it was covered with dirt, no lights on the side, no reflectors, and we hit him. And I was taking this Marine back to base. His wife was holding a compress on the side of his head because he was bleeding really badly. And uh, the car hit the drivers, the driving wheels on the truck, and it blew up and burned and crushed. And it went from 17 feet, 4 inches long to under 10 feet. And we were all inside of it, all trapped inside. And three other Marines on the way to Vietnam pulled us out. It took a long time. It took a long time, and the only light they had to work with was the fire under the hood, the fire under the trunk, and my leg was on fire. So, but other than that, they didn't have anything else, and my head was all crushed into the steering wheel, and they had to dig it out like pulling a pumpkin out of a wagon wheel. They had to. My skull was fractured real badly, and I was messed. But that's kind of what happened on the first time.
Well,
But
okay. When you were 17, I wasn't even born yet. I was born in August the same year. So like I was just like, oh,
see,
that is amazing. But when you were 19, so when that happened, were you on were you on your way to Vietnam, or how, or were you
no,
not,
I
because of your ankle? Did you not get to
no,
serve in?
yeah, the Marine Corps took me. I was 40% colorblind, and the ankle had been broken about a year before, or 9 months before I went in the Marine Corps. But they didn't, they didn't, they didn't care. I mean, it was like, I told them, I said, because I went up with a buddy of mine to enlist in the Army. I was always going to go in the Marine Corps, but I thought, okay, I'll see what they got. They got tanks and they got stuff, but they wouldn't take me because my right ankle had been broken and I'm 40% colorblind, so they wouldn't take me. And I said, well, cool, that's good because I didn't want to go in the Army anyhow, you know. And so I went up to the Marine Corps, and then I'm thinking, wow, I don't know, okay. And they told me to go swear in. And I said, well, what about my broken right ankle and 40% color blindness? They said, can you shoot? And I said, well, I'm a pretty good shot. I'm really good at shooting moving targets. I'm really good at that because rabbits and quail and dove and pigeon and pheasants, and I'm real good. And they said, good, you can go enlist in the Marine. We're going to swear you in. So next thing I'm going to, hey, I hereby hold up the, Constitution, and that was it.
But when I was talking to Rand Timmerman, he was talking about that he went over to Vietnam in, I think, 67. So you were there in 69. Had the
No, no.
tables turned,
Well, no,
or when did
no.
you go to?
I enlisted in '67, but my grandfather had a heart attack, and right not too long after I had enlisted, so we went to see the recruiter, not to get out of the Marine Corps, but just to what could we do to put it off me going in. And they had just come out with a thing called the delayed enlistment program. So they put me on they'll call me up, and
Yeah.
then it was like 4 months later I got my invite to, hey, guess what? We want you now. So off I went. And then, so 68. And then I went to Vietnam 3 times. I ended up being in criminal intelligence. And,
Ooh.
I started out in tanks, but
Yeah.
I watched a guy make a drug purchase that was wrong. I was very anti-drugs. We didn't have any in my small farm town. I was raised on a big farm. We never had any of that. And here, it's anyhow. So I ended up criminal intelligence, but I made 3 trips to Vietnam, and then back. But what we did is it's like if heathens going. they pull you out of a company of Marines or a platoon, and they say, hey, we're going to reassign you to do this. And so Setchell's going to fill in. Now, I was a non-commissioned officer. I was an NCO, but I wore like PFC stripes. So I was, not as I didn't have as much rank. Not that, a sergeant's got a lot of rank to begin with, but it's a lot more than a PFC. But when you put on the little wings in the Marine Corps, we call them mosquito wings. But when you go in as a PFC, they don't. There's not as much suspicion, And I was at the end of my 18th year of birth of life, and then 19. But I went over three times. So, once for a couple of weeks, once for almost a month, and then once for about 6 weeks. And
And
but I
were
but
this was the
yeah,
situation like gradually getting worse, or did you escape
well,
that? Like,
no, it just took more time to follow who I needed to follow to find the drug trail to
ah,
get
yes.
the information because we were really attached to a SOG unit, a SOG unit, Special Observation Group. So what we did was we would observe and report. Not that we couldn't kill, not that we couldn't weren't trained, not that we didn't carry weapons, not that we didn't get involved at all, but our main objective was to watch you, find out who it is, where are you getting your stuff, how does that all correlate? Then when we did our reports and we turned them in to who I turned mine into, it becomes part of a piece of a puzzle,
Uh,
you know and then maybe you're part of another piece of the puzzle and I don't know that you're even in CID, but you're part of another unit. And then when you turn your piece in and finally it all comes together, and then it goes to court martials and they arrest them, and you know but it was trying to see how did drugs get back to the United States. That was the big thing. And then the guy that I was taken to the hospital, he was part of my one of my teams, and they had found out that he was covert ops, was what they call it, covert ops, undercover, and if that's the word you want to use. And they had found out where he lived, and they were beating him to death. They were cutting him. They cut his head, skull open. They cut him down through his ear was hanging off, mostly off. Uh, he was down, and I just happened to show up at his house. I didn't go there on purpose. Well, I did go on purpose, but I didn't go there prearranged, and they were going to kill him. I mean, that's what they did. It's kind of like if you find some drug dealers know that you're a narc,
uh,
or a narcotics officer, and you're undercover, they're going to kill you.
you are amazing. Let me just say, because Rabassi, my friend I mentioned before we started, he is in the UK as well, and he says,
Hmm.
Jay, your strength is inspiring. Your perseverance is about to be tested to the next level. Hayden has this talent. So he is like putting you, he's saying that I am putting you to test. Well, he is a joker, this man. So, but he's a great friend. So it's good
Well,
that you know.
good. Well, good.
But he says also, like, is there a mental approach that you use to help tap into your inner strength when times are at the toughest? Like when you are struggling to get out of bed and crying, like where do you go to? Where is your
I,
go-to place in your mind?
I, to me, it's an easy answer to me, and
Huh?
it's just I have. When I was a little kid on the farm, I was stepping on nails. I remember a nail. I was about 5 or 6, maybe 6.5, and I had a nail go through my boot, through my shoe, through my foot, out my shoe, and out my boot. And my grandfather just leaned over and pulled my foot right up off the board, nail and all, and it had a hole through it. So a lot of it just is I don't know where it comes from. It's just part of me. It's like it's ingrained in me. It's like it's innate in me. I'm stubborn. I'm aggravated. I get pissed off. I'm not going to give up. Don't tell me I can't do it. And I'm not. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight it. And if God doesn't want me to do it, He's just going to take my life and end it. I guess I don't have I don't really search it in my book. Heathen, I talk about, and for our friend in the UK, the um, uh, I try to go through what I experienced in some of my deaths and what it took me to get through them. But I look back a lot of times, and I'll look back and say, hey, okay, I've got a problem here now. What did I do in
Mhm.
the past? What was it I failed at? What was it I succeeded at? Where did I come down at? Where did I hurt at? What did I do? Now maybe that isn't what it is today exactly, but it might give me just a little bit of help to move forward. So it really comes down to in your head and in my heart. I'm not going to quit. And there's a saying, and I have it at the front of my book. It's attributed to an American writer that I don't know if he said it or not, but Ralph Waldo Emerson. And basically, what lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are small matters compared to what lies within us.
Mhm.
So, so if you think about it, you have the strength within you.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. And if you need to move ahead and have a problem, maybe you just need to look back and reach back at something you've been through before and give yourself some, uh, uh, um, give yourself a talking to. I mean,
Yeah.
I get mad as hell. I get irritated, frustrated, aggravated. I get mad as hell, and I'm not going to let it stop me. I don't care. I don't care.
Uh,
And
but
so
David
it, that
David Pushkin says the theme of resilience and perseverance is strong here, and that is. But like when you're talking about this, it's like drinking water. Like when you went to your friend's house or to your army buddy house and you saw what was happening to him. What did you think?
Well, I mean, I heard a scream. I went into their house. The front door was open. There was a screen door closed, and I went on in the house because I don't know where they went. And they had a little dog, and I thought, and I petted the little puppy, and then I heard a scream, and the back door was open, and the screen door was closed, but I heard a scream, and it was a woman scream, and he had been married 6 months, and she'd been in California 4 months the day that it happened, but I didn't know it was her. It was just a woman screaming, and I'm a Marine. I'm going to run to it. I want to. What's the problem? I'm going to go solve this. I want to get involved. And I went to the right, and I got down to the. I went around the corner of the building, and I saw one of the guys running away. The last of the three guys that had been beating on him because she had screamed enough, loud enough, and and I just thought, oh God damn, excuse me, but he was cut up bad and he was bleeding. He was a pretty good sized guy, and I thought we got to save him. This is it. That's my goal right now. And so I told her to get some alcohol and a rag because I needed to clean off and see what it was. But he was pumping blood, and she came back real quick with a half a bottle of vodka. So, I should have taken a slug of vodka
Yeah,
because I should have
I was
or
just
given
thinking like,
him
oh,
one.
thank you, the vodka is for
Yeah,
me.
but yeah, but I didn't, and I poured some on the rag, wiped it down a little bit, and he's kind of half there, half not there, and I did the fireman's carry, got him up, got him in my car, put her in the middle of the car, and showed her how to put her arm around his neck and put the pressure
Pressure,
compress on.
yeah.
It's just automatic. It's just automatic. It's just like, if you're going to get a fork full of food or a spoonful of soup and you're going to put it in your mouth, what do? You just put it in your mouth and you
Yeah,
swallow
yeah,
it. Okay,
yeah.
it's just automatic. I don't think about it. I really don't. It's like my perseverance or my wanting to move ahead to resolve an issue. It doesn't stop. I can't turn it off. And that's one thing I've never learned. I don't know if I can't spell the word quit or stop. I don't know those words. I don't know them. I refuse to listen to them. I'm not
But
going to
Jay,
do it.
after you have driven him, after you drove him to the hospital or like where you went with him, did you not sit down yourself and say, okay, am I in danger? Or like, like, how was he outed as a co-op dude?
Say again. Yeah, ask me again.
Like when you were driving him to the hospital with his wife, and then like you have done this, and your adrenaline is just like pumping, and you are just like, as you say, you are just in it. But when you go down and you start to relax, didn't you have any thoughts about, okay, am
Uh,
I the next one, or what will happen to me if they find out that I am in this?
hmm.
No?
I don't remember any of it. Number one,
Ah,
I don't
okay.
remember anything. I remember getting him in the car, and I remember putting his wife, in the car and helping
Uh,
her, and and then she died. I mean, the spare tire tore loose, took the back of her head off. She slid up over the gear shift, and it took a lot of her female parts out. And she was in a coma 18 months and then died. And Stitz, the guy I was taking the Marine Corps, he died last June from a heart attack. And he didn't get broke up as bad as I did, but he got burned over about 60% of his body, third-degree burns. But I don't remember anything with it. I mean, I'll jump ahead a little bit, a few years. I had a daughter, a daughter named Carrie, that was about two and a half roughly, and she had her adenoids out, like your uh, what do they call that? You have your tonsils out, but there's a
yeah,
thing
yeah,
called
yeah.
adenoids. And we brought her home from the hospital a couple days later, and it was on a Sunday night, and I was supposed to be on the road. I was a district manager for a big corporation, and I heard her in there coughing, and then she was quiet. And I told my wife, and I was still not able to get out of bed the best, but I could get around, but not the best. I could walk, but I needed leg braces and so on. So she went in and she screamed and she said, "Oh my God, Jay, she's turned blue. She's not breathing." So I said, "Bring her in here now." Well, while she was bringing her in there, my daughter, um, I I had gotten out of bed and I'm going around to the other corner of the bed, and she laid her on the bed, and the blood was all over. But she had what happened, and I didn't know it, but she had a blood clot in her throat. And so I just told her, I said, "Go call 911." And I just I don't know. I don't, and I remember doing it 100%. I don't, this one here, because I wasn't involved like in the accident. Okay. That I forgot. I mean, I don't remember it, but I don't remember any, uh, it was just casual. It's do what you're trained to do. Just,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I pushed on her hard. I gave her some CPR. I breathed into her mouth. I was all covered with blood, and all of a sudden she like, "Ugh," and she puked up this large blood
Yeah.
clot. Well, just a moment, maybe 2 minutes later, or a minute and a half later, uh, the EMS got there. They were only about 4 blocks away, so they were there real quick. And the guy comes in and says, "Oh my God, she would have died." So I but I didn't get excited about it. In other words, if you get worried, and go, "Oh my God, oh my gosh, oh God,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got it,"
yeah, yeah,
then that person's going to die.
yeah,
You got to be calm. You take action. Okay, hey, what are we going to do? And
yeah.
that's how I approached it. I mean, the whole thing. I don't remember anything different.
But now, as we have one half death story, and it's maybe right of me to wrap Bessie. He says, "I'll be reading your book for sure, but tell me, while writing it, did you ever score the incidents that you survived, and did you save the most inspiring one for last?" You know when they are building up a movie,
Let
like
me write this. Let me read it, so I can, because it's got.
so. Rap says, "I'll be reading your book for sure, but tell me, while writing it, did you ever score the incidents you survived? And did you save the most inspiring one for last?" Because it sounds like you're living in a movie, Jay. And it's just like first the like your
Well,
ankle, and then you hit the car, and then you're like okay, and we still have two more death experiences to go.
well,
So
I got
how did you plan
two or
them
three or
all?
four. Yeah,
Yeah, what? Yeah.
man, because I've had 73 surgeries too. But
Well,
to
okay, no,
to to
Jay, you
to
did not say that.
well, I don't even think
73.
I 73 surgeries. And I don't
Okay.
even think about it. I don't think about it. It's just like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't. Did you ever score the instance you survived? In other words, oh, like
You
rate them by
rate them
point.
in yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Um.
you have to be British
In
to understand this. No.
okay. In in I don't. That's a crazy question, but I like.
Yeah,
Hey,
no.
thank you for asking it. That's a good. I've never done that before. But um, the book starts out with the third time I died, but it doesn't get into a lot of the. It gets into a little of the detail about how it happened, but not what I went through later. Okay, that's later in the book. So yes, in a way, I kind of saved that one for last. But then there's other things that happened. So it's like uh, just jumping on in from what you asked me. The second time was 3 years after I got out of the hospital, and I had a drunk hit me almost head on. Just almost not quite head on, but a little bit to my left. And I was watching him come down the road. He was like weaving a little bit, and I thought, okay, now he's got it under control. He's been pretty straight. And I glanced again, he was coming over, and I turned my wheel to the right as hard as I could. But the sound, I still hear the noise of the collision, the rolling and stuff. He was driving a pickup truck. He didn't have a seatbelt on. He got thrown out of his truck and run over by his own truck and killed. And I had my seatbelt on. I was in a brand new Chevy Monte Carlo. It's 1973, and I rolled several times down into a deep ditch. And when I did, it took the motor out, it ripped the hood off, most of the side off. Excuse me, excuse me. Um, and I remember the noise. I remember the rolling. I remember the violence. Um, the impact. I remember the glass in my mouth, but the windshield pillar that holds the windshield in came in, and it severed my deltoid muscle, broke my ribs. I had another punctured lung, broke some other bones and such. Took the bone out the back of my arm, severed my deltoid. I think I already said that. Screwed my shoulder up good, my chest some, but I was bleeding bad and I was trapped. I couldn't get. I mean, I was bad trapped, bleeding really bad, and it was a few minutes. I couldn't tell you how long. There was a car about a half mile behind us that saw the accident. And we're out in the middle of cornfields on a narrow highway in the middle of the farmland. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. So when they got there, I don't know if somebody came down and saw me, but they realized I was still in the car. So they went to the next town, which was a small little farm town, and they had to tell a bunch of people, I presume, to find somebody that would actually go to try to help get me out. And they had a little emergency vehicle that was, the town had contributed to. And I was by now going out of my body. I was heading up into the air. I was going into the sky. And it's like in the Marine Corps when I watched them, the doctors were walking away from me because they weren't going to save my life. They tried and they said he can't we can't get him. We're done. And it was the fourth doctor that found out what the problem was. But in this case, and I was out of my body the whole time, mad, cussing, swearing. I wanted to choke him, because I didn't feel I was dead, but I couldn't do anything about it. I was out of my body. I couldn't do it. Now, had I died, I presume my back was against the ceiling. I guess I would have just gone through the ceiling had I died. But that's another story. You know, but
I was going to ask you, did you ever see the light? Like, did you?
no,
It,
no,
this is just
no. Um,
ridiculous.
the fourth the fourth doctor that came in, excuse me,
You are, yes, take a sip.
The fourth doctor that came in was a oral surgeon, and my head had been crushed bad. I had 32 facial fractures. My skull was crushed in. My head was been burned up in here, and my eye sockets were broken, and my ear canal was crushed. I mean, it was not good. And he listened to my body. He did this and that. He took a scalpel and he cut a tracheotomy, and I just spewed blood like a whale surfacing. And he was a Navy doctor, so he had his white uniform on, right? I got blood all over his uniform, the walls, and all this. And but what had happened, my lungs had been, I had a couple of broken ribs and punctured lungs. Well, I had several broken ribs, but two punctures on the left lung and one on the right lung. And what had happened, I had drowned to death in my own blood, and
Uh-huh.
the pressure pushed my heart together and wouldn't allow it to beat. So that's why they didn't hear my heart. They didn't hear me breathing. I had no blood pressure. I had nothing. So the three doctors that had been looking at me, they decided to leave. But this guy cut the tracheotomy, which, and, and I don't remember re-entering my body. I don't remember that at all. I don't remember if it took 10 seconds or 10 minutes. I don't remember because I was in a coma then for quite a while, you know,
Uh-huh.
and then they put me back in another coma. But getting back to the second accident, I was going up into the sky. It was like I was looking down, and I kept going higher and higher and higher. And I saw the emergency equipment, the
Uh-huh.
the little van arrive, and they were trying to look at it and thinking, "Oh my God, what are we going? How are we going to get him out? He's not breathing. He's bled out." So they took a couple of guys and they put what do you call it? But they took their blood and stuck a needle in them and stuck it in me, direct transfusion. And I kept going. I mean, I heard voices. I don't know if they were angels. I don't know what they were, but I could hear. I felt calm, and neither time did I feel any pain. None, zero, not no pain. But I was gone. I thought this is it. You know, this is done. It's over. And I kept ascending, but at some point, the blood going into my body, I had to go back. I don't remember doing it, but the next thing I knew it was 5 or 6 days later, and I was in the hospital. That's all I don't know what happened.
So,
But
but Rap asks, are you the real $6 million man? So, like, I
oh,
gather that this.
I'm past the $6 million
Yeah.
man. I just can't. I just can't run. I just can't run.
But when, okay, so did you lose your legs? Like, were your legs, when did you lose your legs? Your ability
Well,
to,
my legs.
is
What
that in the
happened was,
third accident?
yeah, the third one that was 8 years later, and we it was on the 4th of July. I was married to my second wife 3 weeks the day that it happened, and we went to a little parade. We played volleyball that afternoon, and I really get into playing volleyball. And somebody said, "Hey, let's so and so guy right next door down the hill had just put a new in-ground swimming pool in. Let's go jump in the swimming pool." So my wife hopped on my motorcycle and we drove around the block, and I parked it. It was just a half a block, around the block, and I had two or three guys were going to want to throw me in the pool, and I said, "No, no, 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 no. I'll whoop on your butt if you do that, because I've got some very expensive cowboy boots on, and I have my billfold in." So I took my billfold out, stuck it in the boot, and they came running at me. Well, I jumped in the pool, and I jumped in 3.5 feet of water, feet first, and I had a compression for it, like you drive a hammer down.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I must have not bent my legs. I did have contacts in. I must have thrown my head back. I'm only presuming because I don't remember, you know. And but I broke my neck in four places, and then I drowned. And that wasn't a pretty sight. I mean, it was. I was under for quite a while. I watched. I finally opened my eyes. I didn't want to open them at first because I thought I would. my contacts would fall out. I wasn't even thinking I was paralyzed. I never thought about it. I just knew I was, I don't know. I was just in the water.
But yeah, I like, let's say, how old were you when that happened?
31 and a half.
And now you're 76. So I'm happy that you have
Yeah.
been in a wheelchair for that long time, because that means that you're secure. But God,
Well, yeah,
you are
I've had a couple.
crazy.
I've had a couple other things in between there, too. But the thing is, when 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 uh, I was under the water for about, I don't know, long enough that a couple of the people said, "Hey, we need to jump in and see what's the matter with Satchel because he's been under the water. He's down at the deep end now. Something's wrong." And somebody said, "No, no, no. He's a crazy old Marine, and he'll grab a hold of you, and he won't let go."
Wait a minute,
So,
were they drunk, or like what was
well,
happening?
well, enough of us had been drinking. I'm sure that it was not all sober, but at the same time, it wasn't bad. I don't think I
Driving a
was drunk.
motorcycle and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I rode my bike over okay, and I didn't fall over, and I didn't have training wheels on it. So, so
Jay,
you
you are
know,
crazy. But but but
you know,
like, and your second wife, is that your current wife, or are
no,
you?
no, no.
So she watched this and just,
Yeah,
oh
we
my.
were, yeah, 3 weeks a day. But what happened was, after about 7 or 8 minutes, I started turning colors because I had drowned. And when I drowned, I sucked a lot of water in
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything went black, dark, quiet, instant. Now, the only time I had any experience of not a tube, not seeing a light, but I went like a vortex, like inside a tornado. And I was moving faster and faster and faster. And I knew I was coming to an end. I knew something was happening. I don't know what was going to happen, but I remember
Uh,
that. And in the meantime, since I had been under the water so long, I was starting to turn black or blue or different colors or something. And some gal decided she was going to jump in and see what was the matter. Then they realized that she couldn't help me. So another guy jumped in and helped her, and they got me to the edge of the pool, got me out of the pool and stuff like that. And I mean, it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days later, uh, they had bolts in my skull, and I've got the little scars up here from the halo cast from the other bolts that was in my head. And but I don't, you know, all I know is that somebody, the two most important things at this time in my life that happened was a doctor telling me that I broken my neck. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know why I was in the hospital.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I didn't know. And I know the pain was incredible because my whole body felt like it was on
Uh,
fire, and 100 people were standing around me with ice picks, just stabbing me. All that's what it felt like, and it was the nerve damage is what caused it, and that faded
the
away.
tingling, like a tingling
Oh,
or something.
tingling, like
Yeah,
tingling, but except extreme
yeah,
pain.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And but he told me I broke my neck in multiple places. I had drowned, and I was in this apparatus, and I was in a circle bed, and they were going to do something else to me later on in the hospital 3 4 weeks later, and I would eventually go to a rehabilitation clinic, um, and uh, and see what I could get back. But they said at best we don't know that you're ever going to have anything from your shoulders down ever. So you might get a little bit, but that's it. You had a really bad accident. Well, there was a man that was under. They turned the bed and I was face down, and my wife was looking up at me, and there was a gentleman there that she said she'd met in the waiting room, and his son was in the hospital. And I got to take another drink here or something. I'm like talking too much.
We only have 10 minutes, so you have to persevere. Yes.
Okay. Well, but and she asked if he could say a prayer for me because he was asking that. And so if you can, blink your eyes, which I did. And I blinked and he said a prayer and all this. And, and over the next several months and months and months, I outworked myself. I never quit. And he belonged to a big church and 5,000 people and had 1,500 people at 3 services. And he would go to every service every Sunday and ask for prayer. And my mother did the same thing. And it seemed like on Sundays I got a little bit more back. But I was always an overachiever. If they told me to raise my arm, when it started working a little bit 3 times, just 3 times, I'd raise it 5 times because I'm
Yeah.
stubborn, and they'd
Yes.
say, no, I said 3. And I said, well, 5. So then they say, okay, raise it 5. I'd raise it 7 times. And but eventually, I mean, I got to where I could walk, and I didn't walk well, and I walked with leg braces and crutches and a halo cast, and it took many months to do it, but I far exceeded anything they would think, and I reached back to the Marine Corps, and they didn't like me doing that because they said, "Well, what happened to you then doesn't is nothing like a broken neck." Well, that's bullshit because you know what? When you're dead and you've gone through a year in the Naval Hospital, a year I spent in the Naval Hospital, you know, there's a lot of things that you need to go back. What did I do here? What did I try? What did I work on? You know, how much pain, how much this, and I found strength in looking back at what I had accomplished, what I had done, how it had helped me. Though broken bones heal, right? Like I said before. So that was a healing process. It just took a lot of time. Though my neck, once you've broken your neck, it's there. It just doesn't heal. It's you just got to either overcome it or it's total and you don't get through it. But I don't know. It's just heathen. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight, and I say it, and I'm not. I don't hide it. I don't give a crap what it is.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a new company I'm starting. I don't care if it's somebody I'm helping. I don't care what it is. I'm not going to give up till it's resolved.
So everything now, because time, as I mentioned to you, an hour would go fast, and we have like 7 minutes left, and this is just the most crazy conversation I think I have ever had in my life. And like when you were writing, like, and you have started companies, and you have like done, you have raised kids, and you have married. It sounds like you have married several times. So
Three,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, 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 yeah. And you are young. You're still young, like only 76. So
I am.
and
Hey,
your wife is snoring, so you can like.
she's only
But
64, so you know.
oh my God, you are a player, aren't you?
No, just no.
Ah!
My first wife was older, so
Okay, so
but
you are, yeah, okay, yeah. Let's not go
I gotta balance it out.
there. But when you were writing this book, this is the only book you have written, or have you written
Yeah,
several? Or
no. It's the only one I've been asked or told I need to write a couple more, because I tend to say don't ask why, ask why not.
yeah, yeah.
It's in other words like if you tell me you can't do something, I go why not, or I can't
But
do something, why not?
when
Try
you
it.
were writing this, Jay, did you, because your thoughts, okay, if you smashed your brain at some point in which accident, like this is just way too much to handle. How, like, were there somebody who was saying, "Oh no, Jay, this is just like you are mixing some couple of things," or like how is it for you to remember all this stuff? It's unbelievable how,
Uh,
even though you can't say like that you remember in details, but you remember the gist of it, isn't it? Like
oh,
you,
I remember a lot in detail. A
oh,
lot of detail. But when you're in a bad accident, like the first one in the Marine Corps, it just wipes your memory. But
yeah,
I had to remember back 56 years to when it happened, 55 years when I started writing the book, and I dictated it because I can't write and my typing is worse. So I dictated it, and then a lady put the story together, that has written several books for another company uh, called the Pacific Institute, and it's I remember a lot of details. I can tell you how many stairs were in our house when I was a little kid. I
Oh
can
yeah.
remember I can remember a lot of stuff. But but there's certain things that it's like in the book. I mean, I tell about like when they rebuilt my neck. That was a 15-hour surgery. They took so much bone out of my left pelvis to rebuild my neck and fuse it in 1990, in March of 1990, that I was home 6 weeks. It took about 6 weeks to get the house out of the hospital, five or 6 weeks. But I was home 4 or 5 days, and I had to go to the pot. I had to either go to the toilet. So I'm on my crutches. I got this brace up. I'm cut open from my earlobe to my tracheotomy, and they had spread me all apart. Well, I was going in. I was by my dresser in my bedroom, and all of a sudden I heard a pop like a firecracker went off, and the pain just went, oh my God. And I caught my left arm on the dresser. My right crutch stayed under my arm, and I looked down, and the bone, the whole front of my pelvis had ripped off and come through my sweatpants. So, and the blood was coming out. So the whole bone was there. My wife, that was my second wife, she she ran in to see what was the matter, and I go like, and but I knew I had to go to the toilet, so I couldn't move it. So I had her get on her hands and knees and move my leg ahead, put my leg 1 foot ahead. Then I dragged my right leg, and the bone would just go like this, and I just did it. It's like in the Marine Corps, real quick. I
Wait,
mean, I had
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you actually go to the toilet and pee with
yeah,
your
I went to the
bone
toilet.
just?
I went to the toilet and sat down to go
Yeah.
poop, and the bone ripped out more. Meanwhile, she went and called 911. Then she came back, and she said they're on their way. I said, well, I'm not going to be on the toilet when they get here, so we got to get up. So she helped me, and
Well,
I got up, and the bone was sticking out more now. And I got to the bed, and I just barely laid down in the bed. I could feel I was starting to pass out. I bled out quite a bit, and then they got there, and they're going like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I go, you know, it
I had
was
to go to the bathroom.
yeah. I had to go to the bathroom. Look what happened. I broke a bone.
And so I went to the bathroom, I peed, and then for an inkling of dignity, I decided to go back as well. You
Yeah,
are
I was going to go
crazy.
lay down in my bed. But
You
but
are bonkers.
there's a lot of things like that. And then I mean, like 20 years ago, I had MSRA staph infection, and only about 20% of people live through that. And I was in the hospital about 5 weeks, and then I went home with a PICC line in my heart with medication, and they don't know how I lived through that. So it's like,
Well,
I'm just not going to quit. I'm
yeah,
just not
but
going to quit.
you must be one in a gazillion. Like you are on a mission. There is something you are supposed to do. Something
I
you are
and I have.
supposed to. You are here to teach the rest of us that resilience and swearing that is a good stuff.
Well, it's kind of like, really, it's you can only be so safe. When somebody says, "Hey, be safe,
Yeah,
Heathen, have a good drive, have a safe drive." Well, but what about the other guy that hits you?
yeah,
That's not you're driving safe. He's the one that's nuts.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I when I talk to people, a lot of times when they get done, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm you've you've made me look at the world different." I talked to a class of kids 23 years ago or 24 years ago, and one of the girls at the end, I had pointed her out that she'd paid a lot of attention and this and that, and how good how I appreciated that fact. She came up to me at the end of the class, tears pouring down her face, and she wanted to shake my hand. And she told me, she said, "You have given me hope, and you have told me some things and pointed things out that I've never thought about, and you have changed my life." And it made me cry. I couldn't talk. So,
Uh,
maybe my purpose is to get in front of a bunch of people and say, "Hey, y'all a bunch of pussies. Get up and do something with your life."
well,
You
and
know,
that is what
I don't.
David
I mean,
David
I don't know. I'm just saying that.
No, but David Pushkin, he is another like hero in my mind because he lost his eyesight 6 years ago, and but he is just phenomenal. Like he is amazing, and he just says like, how can we connect with this amazing human? Such an encouragement, and that is right. But and I will tell people that they can find you on LinkedIn and they can find you on YouTube and Facebook, and
Yeah,
they can probably buy your book on Amazon.
Amazon, and then I've got my website's finally up, and it's called, believe it or not,
Never,
n-
never
never
quitting, never
never quit.
quitting.
No,
No,
never
never
quit
quit
trying.
trying. Sorry,
Never,
yeah, .com.
never,
It's
never quit
it's
trying.
it's
.com.
underneath our pictures now. So, but you must have been like how considering the health system in the US, and if you have been operated on for 73 times,
Hmm.
you must have. Did you get like a oh, you have been here for 10 times. This one is free. Like, how did you pay for all of this?
It didn't cost me anything. It was between the military, and I'm 100% disabled military, and then retired military,
Ah,
and then they put me on Social Security and I had insurance, and then what insurance didn't pick up, the military picked up, for my disability, through the VA.
but
So,
think if a person, if you wouldn't have been in the military, or like this is
mhm.
just bonkers. And Rabasi he says, thanks for sharing. Puts into perspective my weekly headache. Thank you, Jay. So like people look at because this is why, and I tell you, this is why I do these podcasts because this is absolutely as horrific your life like for times have been uh, like
Cut off.
so yeah I know you are back. If we look at how horrific things what horrific things have happened to you in your life but you still have your sons and daughter and whatnot, but this is so inspiring. You have been inspiring from the
Well,
first minute.
thank you. It's like I'm just sitting thinking about my back pain right now. I've had 15 back surgeries, and my back pain is killing me. But what I'm doing in my head, I'm thinking about tonight when I get to go to bed and I get to lay on my side and my back pain will start to go away. I'm thinking
Oh
about
yeah.
that, even if it's 8 or 10 hours, 12 hours away. I, I think ahead, plan ahead. What am I going to do? What can I do? How can I help you? What can I do with somebody else? We're, you know, nothing's permanent. Nothing's permanent. And when I go to bed tonight and I lay on my right side only, the pain goes away about 90%. And that's great. So you just got to, it's like the book says, find what you've got in your heart.
uh,
Never quit trying and keep moving ahead. You got to do it. If you want to be alive, you have to do it. God's given us a reason for being here. I think that this is some of my purpose, but maybe it's to talk to a lot of people. My problem is I'm in a wheelchair and a lot of pain, so travel is not good for me. It's just not. I can't put a 400-pound wheelchair on an airplane. Maybe I could have enough money if I won the lottery and I could buy my
yeah,
own
yeah,
plane.
yeah, yeah.
But
You'll buy
but
your own
you
jet.
know,
Yeah.
but it's going through a lot more of other things. It's that and what I've touched on, my injuries have not been as bad as some of the things in my mind as I've had to go through elsewhere. And it's like I was asked one time, Heathen, what's worse? You know, is it harder to run a business and start a business and keep a business going, or scale a business or whatever, or is it harder to go through what you have medically? Well, going through what I've been through medically means that a business is easy. It's so easy. It's nothing. It's nothing because when you're fighting for your life, you're it's terrible.
Yeah.
You have no option. It's between you and God. And
Mhm.
when you're in business, you can advertise or hire somebody different or different hours of operation or what choose what product or service. There's a lot of options. You just got to make the decision. I can't decide when you've broken your neck. Oh, I'm just going to get up and walk.
Yeah.
I got to fight it.
Yeah.
So,
But
but I'm glad.
to finish off, the
Yes, sir.
strength within you is on Amazon, and it's also on neverquittrying.com, and where people can get more info about you and like how to contact you and whatnot. And they can find you on, as I mentioned, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And
Uh,
you know what,
fa-
Jay? Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Facebook,
Facebook.
the Facebook is the strength within you. So
Oh,
it's the
okay.
same
Yeah.
it's strength within you on Facebook, but that's just got a bunch of stuff that I'm putting in there and
Uh,
good words, good comments.
but they can also talk to Dr. Google and just say Jay Setchell, and then there will be pictures of your surgeries. No,
Oh,
you
there's a
know,
lot of podcasts, a lot of
you
podcasts.
you must be like, oh, Jay, yeah, I operated on him 50 times.
Oh, it's yeah.
You must be popular.
I had a neurosurgeon operate on me 19 times, and and he's since deceased from pancreatic cancer here a couple of years ago, but uh, but he just said, Jay, you're worse than anything I ever saw in combat because you're
This
just
is
torn
the
up.
yeah,
And it's
but
you know he even it's not just once, it's
nah,
twice and three
yeah,
times. And then you got other sicknesses. Then you got COVID. Then you got this. And then you got that. And you got bones popping out of your body and pins breaking and pins snapping. And it, suck it up. Just move forward. And I know that some people can't do that. I empathize, but it's up to
yeah.
you. It's up to you. If you know if it is to be, it is up to me.
Well, Jay, it has been an inspiring conversation. I have been gobsmacked and whatnot, but we have to finish because
Okay.
I could talk to you forever, but like this is just thank you.
I,
But
I'd like to have a bunch of questions from other people.
yeah,
That's what I'd like.
maybe we have to have a Jay Setchell 2.0. Like, but people can
Uh,
still like when we add like when we post the AI clips and stuff, then people can like comment on the event or send you messages or whatnot. Like this is just bonkers. But I just want to go through because the next week, poor Graham, he will probably say that this is just there's nothing topping
well,
you like in
I
a
hope
week.
not.
But next Thursday, February 26th, we I will be talking to a guy in the UK called Graham Norris, and we are going to talk about conflict and how conflict management and how we can like go through that. And he is a conflict
Well, that'll
management.
be a good conversation.
Well, yes, but
I've been through a lot of conflicts and conflict management. And it's like
yeah.
after a while you try, then you say, hey, okay, bye.
Then you just have to show
But
up, and then you can ask questions if you have. This is
there you
just
go.
wrong. But thank you, Jay, from the bottom of my heart. And
Thank you.
like always, people who are watching this, be curious, be interested, and be inspired because this man, Jay Setchell, this is like human. Oh, you are not like the $6 million man. Was that the opposite of bionic woman?
What's the opposite of bionic woman?
Yeah, I remember the TV show that what was in the 70s,
Oh,
like
that
the
was
bionic.
that what was yeah, that was that Lindsay Wagner was her
Yeah, it was
name.
something like
I
she
don't
was so
remember what
like
her
she had metal plates and everything. Like she was just like
uh,
amazing. But
yeah,
but
but
thank you.
I go ahead.
Uh, Yeah, I just want to like thank you because we can talk forever, Jay.
Well, you look. I like the picture of your where you live and the church. It's beautiful. Maybe I'll be able to come visit sometime.
Well, then you have to have a lighter wheelchair, like 400 pounds here.
That's okay. I got a passport. Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
and we
Well,
we, we let we'll
you
come
have a
visit.
friend. You have a friend in Iceland. So this is just absolutely bonkers. Like Jay, you are an amazing person and so inspiring.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But always got to remember, it's up to you, and don't ever give up.
Yes,
That's
it's
it.
a good word.
So,
That's a good ending.
yeah.
Never give up.